Now we'll see if we can use... Now we'll see if we can use group pressure for some good. Now, in a moment, on Charlie's signal, everybody turns forward. Notice they take off their hats. And now, do you think we could reverse the procedure? Watch.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who had used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." So I came back to see him a few weeks later. And by that time, we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper. He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today. And he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
And there's no obvious reason in the record why for 15, 16 months they decide not to tell the FBI, and then one day they wake up and say they're going to tell the FBI.
Ask yourself why, on September 4th, after they've told the FBI, but not told senior levels of the FBI, why not raise it in the September 4th principals meeting?
I mean, if I ask myself that, I don't...
There's a very obvious answer. What am I going to say? I know how all this stuff works. I've been working it for 30 years. You can't snowball me on this stuff. If they announce on September 4th in the principals meeting that these guys are in the United States, and they told the FBI a few weeks ago, I'm going to say, wait, time out. How long have you known this? Why haven't you reported it at the daily threat meetings? Why isn't it in the daily threat matrix? We would have begun an investigation that day into CIA malfeasance and misfeasance. That's why we're not informed.
So they put their own asses above national security.
If you believe all of this, I can't prove this. I have a set of facts. I'm trying to make sense of those facts. And I'm trying to come up with an explanation as to why those facts that we know are true occurred. And even as late as September 4th, told me we would have conducted a massive sweep. We would have conducted it publicly. We would have found those assholes. There's no doubt in my mind. Even with only a week left. They were using credit cards in their own names. They were staying in the Charles Hotel in Harvard Square, for heaven's sake. We would have found them. If we had taken those pictures and put them out on the AP wire, those guys would have been arrested within 24 hours.
Have you asked George Tenet or Cofer Black or Richard Blee about any of this after the fact?
No.
The facts tripped out to you over time, right, over these investigations, and then you started
Took a while.
Yeah.
And so you've never approached them, so what's the deal?
But you used to be kind of buddies with Tenet, right? So
Look at it this way. They've been able to get through a joint House investigation committee and get through the 9/11 Commission, and this has never come out.
I've promised to give my footage to the big investigators, the credible and widely known investigators who will be able to detect anomalies that I or other people without scientific education might miss. with that in mind, I hope that there are many things that they can discover that disprove the current official story of what happened.
He is a fugitive from the law. He is a fugitive from the Denver Police Department.
Who's a member of the commission, claimed the deal is disgusting. Former Georgia Senator Max Cleland, a Democrat, joins me here.
Well, you've used the word deal 3 times. I don't think the 9/11 Commission ought to be making deals with our own government under the responsibility we have from the Congress and our responsibility to the American people to get all the facts about all the commissioners. Look at those facts. Now, we've had to subpoena the FAA for those documents. We've had to subpoena NORAD for those documents. I'm in favor of subpoenaing the White House for the documents we need so that all the commissioners can get to see all the documents that we need. That's the only way we can face the American people and the families and say we have done a thorough investigation independently of the White House and the entire executive branch. The President has said only a minority of the commission can see a minority of the documents, and then they have to clear what they're going to say to the rest of the commission with the White House.
If you're one of those 4 that gets to see these documents, would that change your opinion?
No. They don't want any more eyeballs to see their documents than they can possibly get away with. It's a scam. It's absolutely disgusting.
Cleland would later resign.
Well, they have something to cover up, and the 9/11 Commission, of course, was a master cover-up. We know that. The question is what it was covering.
Something very high velocity that will actually cut through steel. That's what you see in building implosions all the time. You don't see very high velocity that will actually cut through steel. That's what you see in building implosions all the time. You don't see...
Woo! Oh my God! Oh, it's so hot!
The gentleman in the elevator now is a candid star. These folks who are entering, the man with the white shirt, the lady with the trench coat, and subsequently one other member of our staff, will face the rear. And you'll see how this man in the trench coat tries to maintain his individuality, but little by little, He looks at his watch, but he's really making an excuse for turning just a little bit more to the wall. Now we'll try it once again. Here's the candid subject. Here comes the candid camera staff, 3 of them at least. And this man has apparently been in groups before. You're going to see a fellow who fights a little bit to withstand the group pressure now. He'll express his discomfort in the way he looks and the way he wiggles a little bit, but watch. He's right in a groove now. The elevator hasn't budged, but the doors open a moment later, and this we find. He's very unhappy. You'll see him. He doesn't know whether to go inside and face front or outside and face back. But he's one of the group now.